This is a review of a solid state integrated amplifier from Naim called the Supernait 3. Now this is a full width product but not full height, so it doesn't look too imposing, and the black finish helps in that respect. At 87mm by 432 by 314, the Supernait can be described as, well, almost pleasantly compact, but the weight of 14 kilograms hints at the quality within. Now before we get to the closer look section, and that's on the way in just a moment, I'd like to talk about the Supernait's manual, which is perfect bound. That's how thick this is. But for a hi-fi component, this is a bit of a brick, and I'm not particularly happy with it. And you should be. Now the manual is an essential part of setup and use for any hi-fi product, so you really want to get that right. And I don't think Naim has. Now this thing spans over 100 pages. What is this, dBase 3 for the PC? 2/3 of the manual isn't even devoted to the Supernait 3, while most of the third that does is a prospectus for a language night school course. In fact, of the 100+ unwieldy A4 pages, I could only use 4. Yes, 4. Around 8 sides of A4 if you combine a couple of extraneous bits and bobs printed a bit further on. Just give me a leaflet name. As it is, I feel as though I've just been handed a tablet from the hands of Moses. And in that manual, why are the button stroke socket captions, that is, the captions that explain what each button and socket actually does, why are they covered by obscure picture icons that would need a pocket-sized Rosetta Stone to translate? And why is the key to those icons 11 sides of A4 further on in the manual? And why don't the icons have anything to do with the labels you actually see on the amplifier? And why are you making the manual as complicated to use as you possibly can, Naim? And if you are, Naim, going to supply a downloadable digital version of the manual from your website, and I applaud the fact that you are, then please don't feature low-res fuzzy images with poorly laid out floating captions, as you can see on this page featuring the remote control. But enough manual shenanigans. Hey, let's get to the actual box itself. Let's do a guided tour. In fact, let's take a closer look. And welcome to the closer look. And as you can see, the front fascia of the Naim Supernait 3 is fairly simple and straightforward. No clutter at all here. Everything is as it should be and well laid out. On the front left, as you can see, there are 2 very large knobs indeed, and they're supplied by a company called Alps, very respected in knob terms. So you would expect prominent controls via a respected parts supplier like these Alps to control pretty important functions, yes? The first is gain or volume. Yep, that's critical, essential to the amplifier's operation is gain. The second control here, as you can see, handles the balance. Balance? But why? Why is a balance control even on an audiophile amplifier valued at £3,500? More to the point, why is it given such prominence? I'm mystified. These days, a balance control is such a quirky niche thing. I only expect to see them on 70s wannabe designs that also feature treble, bass and loudness controls, or Japanese sourced amps who want to recapture the glory days of old. But a balance control on a 3.5K Naim, and a whopper at that? Is it there for aesthetic reasons, I wonder? I also wonder, if it was removed, how that might affect the price or free up build budget for more essential items. But let's move on. The central part of the front fascia features a Naim logo that glows green when powered on. The right side of the fascia holds the solid, now classically designed input select buttons, and a mute control. And here is a 6.35mm headphone socket. Yes, there's a headphone amplifier built in. Plugging in a pair of headphones will mute the speakers. In case you've forgotten what you've bought, there's a whopping great big name in the middle of the rear. On the left is an IEC power socket and rocker power switch. There are speaker connections for banana plugs only, but no spade connections, I notice. There are single-ended inputs, a phono and sub connection as well. In addition, there are the usual Naim DIN type sockets, and there is a ground screw as well for the phono amplifier. There's also plenty of options to upgrade the Supernait 3 with Naim's own external power supplies, such as the flat cap, high cap and super cap units. A remote control is also included. This is a general remote control that controls a range of Naim equipment. Here you're able to switch off the front fascia display lights as well. My final point regarding sockets and the like is the access to the phono amp. Again, I have to ask why? Because this is a moving magnet only phono amp. There is no moving coil choice here. I would not, I repeat, would not recommend hooking up a turntable to a £3,500 amplifier and running it via a moving magnet cartridge. That is a source-derived bottleneck staring you in the face right there. To be honest, I wouldn't recommend an internally fitted phono amplifier in the first place, but such a unit can be useful if you've just bought your amplifier, funds are low, and an external phono amplifier is not yet viable financially. On those terms, sure, a built-in phono amplifier is a good temporary option, but moving magnet support only? It's a mistake. Inside is a Class A preamp output stage, which features that headphone amplifier I mentioned, while ceramic heatsink technology, and I quote, minimizes capacitive coupling between the chassis and output transistors for optimum sound quality, said the company. Inputs are each individually decoupled and hand-wired to minimize noise, while internal switching employs, quote, ultra-low noise, constant current, unquote. And the main reason for that weight? Well, it's that whopping great toroidal transformer in the power supply. Oh, and once you switch on, be prepared to wait 20 seconds while the innards warm up, then you can be away. So, how does this thing actually sound? Well, let's zip over to the sound quality tests and find out. And welcome back to the sound tests, and let's dive straight in. And to test the amplifier, I picked on the brand new album by Katie Melua called Album Number 8. She obviously had difficulty thinking up the title for this one, but Album Number 8 it is. Now this is a smoothly chilled album which features a Melua voice on casters, smoothly running alongside an orchestral backing. And I have to say that the performance, the sonic performance of the Supernait 3 is fascinating. This amplifier doesn't strut around in an excitable fashion. Some amplifiers are rather macho and full of testosterone and like to not only throw their weight around, but to be seen to be doing so. The Supernait 3, on the other hand, retains the same strength and power, but its presentation is lower key and almost restrained. You know that this is a powerful unit, but the amp never greets you by slapping you around the face. Instead, it offers a firm handshake with a slight smile and a little twinkle in the eye. You know that there's power there. There's power to spare if required. Hence, bass is all over the soundstage. Well, underneath it, as bass underpins the music. Bass guitar is easily tracked here, as is percussion, while the lower register piano notes are resonant in their delivery. And then there's the upper mid-range and treble. This area is interesting. It's not airy or terribly spacious. The clarity is not particularly present in abundance, yet the expected detail is definitely there, while noise is low enough so all of the information you need to hear is present and correct. I could easily hear cymbal taps and acoustic string plucks, for example. In fact, you will hear information here that you may not hear with closely priced competitors, but that information is also thinly coated with a slightly warming presentation. This amp is not warm per se, it's not sweet. What it does is paint a thin coat of low frequency enhancement over the mids and the treble. Not enough to veil detail, but enough to give the information a sort of perceived sincerity, a self-assurance that comforts, a composure and poise. Oddly enough, the Supernait 3 sounds exactly what a lot of people think expensive hi-fi should sound like. And by that I mean strong, in control, full of strength, yet calm and unhurried. Now I know I've just spouted a whole heap of metaphor and imagery there, but that's how you feel when you listen to this box. You're happy to let this Supernait 3 handle the heart of your hi-fi. You know it'll do the job. Malua strolled through this LP in a relaxed, calm and cool manner. And why not? She had the burly Supernait 3 as company. What harm could befall her? So I tried something a little bit more dynamic and a touch of New Order from the CD album this time, Republic, and the track called Regret. This release does suffer from a measure of peak limiting compression, so can be hard on the ears. Now, the Supernait 3 doesn't shy away from this problem. It actually tells you all about it, which actually is what I want, to be honest. I don't want my hi-fi to sugarcoat the issues. I can take it, Doc. Even so, I could hear the strength here. The sheer potential was almost volcanic. The grunt behind the bass was immense, and yet there was a tremendous amount of delicate information on offer here too. The lead guitar strums, the backing bass, was a foundation for the entire track. The drummer's ride cymbal was here, the high-toned acoustic string plucks were here. They could all be heard through the cacophony. Yes, the tonal balance leaned ever so slightly towards the bass, so neutrality was not strict, but that didn't take anything away from the performance, which remained impressive. This electro rock track was driving, forceful, full of detail, and most of all, dragged you into the performance. This integrated amplifier is nothing if not involving, and I challenge you to listen to this amplifier and not nod your head, tap your foot, and sing your little heart out. Why? Because this box has soul. So what do I think of the Naim Supernait 3? Well, offering a great build quality, a solidity that is a watchword in the industry as a whole, a classic, traditional yet subdued design, and a simple, easy to use interface, the Naim Supernait 3 sits like a piece of granite in your hi-fi chain. And in that chain, it'll take control of your entire hi-fi, grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and not letting go. Providing an assured performance, be glad that this beast is on your side. And that's me done. Thank you very much for staying to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe below if you can. If you've already done so, thank you very much, and I do appreciate your support. It's also very kind of you to comment below, as many people have already done so. So thank you again for, well, just supporting the channel and helping it to grow. Thank you very much indeed. Now I'll be back next week with another good one, so I hope you can join me then. I look forward to your company. Until then, bye bye for now.